The Kellogg Company does not exist anymore. In October 2023, it split itself in two. One half was the breakfast cereal empire that built an American identity, and the half that left Battle Creek is now worth $36 billion. The half that stayed is closing plants. This is not a story about a company that left a city. It is a story about a city that got left with the wrong half. The place that invented breakfast cereal, the place that built a 100-year identity around a single product, now holds the only Kellogg's headquarters with its name still on the building, and it is the one shrinking. The other one, the one that walked out the door, was just bought for $36 billion by a private candy company. To understand how a city ends up holding the losing half of a corporate divorce, you have to go back to the religious movement that built the place. For half a century, Battle Creek, Michigan, was the Vatican of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Its founders, the self-proclaimed prophetess Ellen White and her husband James, made their home there starting in 1854. The cereal did not come first. The church came first, and then the food. Within a generation, the city was home to the Battle Creek Sanitarium, a strange hybrid of religious health spa, hospital, and grand hotel run by a physician named John Harvey Kellogg. The sanitarium drew Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, Amelia Earhart, and sitting United States presidents. It served vegetarian food, its director called biological living, including a pre-digested flaked grain meant to settle the stomachs of sick patients. That grain was not breakfast. It was medicine. In 1894, the Kellogg brothers left a batch of wheat dough out overnight, ran it through rollers the next morning, and accidentally invented the first flaked breakfast cereal. By 1906, the younger brother, Will Keith Kellogg, had broken off, added sugar, and founded the company that would become Kellogg's. A former sanitarium patient named C.W. Post copied the recipe and founded Post in the same town. By 1903, more than 40 cereal companies were operating in one small Michigan city. Battle Creek didn't grow on cereal. Battle Creek was cereal. The problem with being a one-product town is that you only stay relevant as long as the product does. American cereal consumption peaked in the late 1990s, according to USDA consumption data. Since then, the category has been quietly dying. Sugar concerns, breakfast skipping, breakfast on the go, protein bars, smoothies, drive-thrus, every cultural shift since the millennium has pulled people away from the cereal aisle. The boxes still sit on the shelves, and they sell less every year. Even General Mills, the country's largest cereal maker and the maker of Cheerios and Lucky Charms, has watched its cereal volumes shrink for years. Post's own chief executive recently put it in plain corporate English, saying the ready-to-eat cereal category continues to decline. Battle Creek had no plan B. Between 1997 and 1999, Kellogg moved much of its manufacturing to Mexico and other United States sites, and laid off more than 1,700 workers in Battle Creek in just 2 years. The headquarters stayed. The factory floor did not. That was the first betrayal. It only got worse. Between 1980 and 2016, Calhoun County, the county containing Battle Creek, lost roughly 4,000 manufacturing jobs. Manufacturing's share of the local workforce dropped from nearly 32% to 24%. A Brookings Institution analysis, one of the most cited economic research sources on American metropolitan decline, found the Battle Creek Metro carrying a net loss of about 2,200 jobs going into the pandemic, making it one of 104 American metropolitan areas with fewer jobs in 2019 than it had before the 2008 recession. The largest employer in Battle Creek today is not Kellogg's. It is Denso, a Japanese auto parts manufacturer. By the time the corporate split came, Battle Creek had already lost the factory floor. All that was left was the name on the headquarters. In June of 2022, Kellogg made an announcement that, in hindsight, sounded almost clinical. The company was going to separate itself into independent businesses. The reasoning was financial. Different parts of the portfolio had different growth profiles, and the company believed each could unlock more value alone than together. CEO Steve Cahillane, who had led the company through this pandemic and would shepherd the entire split process, framed it as unlocking shareholder value. On October 2nd, 2023, the Kellogg Company finished splitting in two. The first new company was named Kellanova, the snacks business. Pringles, Cheez-It, Pop-Tarts, RX Bar, Rice Krispies Treats. Its new headquarters were in Chicago, Illinois. Cahillane went with it, staying on as Kellanova's CEO. The second was named WK Kellogg Co., the North American cereal business. Corn Flakes, Frosted Flakes, Special K, Raisin Bran. Its headquarters stayed in Battle Creek, Michigan. The growth half left. The shrinking half stayed. It didn't take long to see what that meant in practice. In August of 2024, less than a year after the split, WK Kellogg announced it was closing its cereal plant in Omaha, Nebraska, eliminating 550 jobs. It was also scaling back production at its Memphis, Tennessee facility. Battle Creek's plant would receive investment, the company said, but only because the other plants were being shut down more aggressively. Battle Creek was the consolation prize. Down the road, Post Holdings, Battle Creek's other founding cereal company, announced its own plant closures around the same time, citing the same brutal market reality. Battle Creek didn't lose Kellogg's in 2023. Battle Creek lost the good Kellogg's. If you wanted proof that the split was less of a divorce and more of a rescue, the market provided it about 10 months later. On August 13, 2024, Mars, Incorporated, the privately held candy company behind M&M's and Snickers, announced it was acquiring Kellanova for $36 billion, $83.50 per share in cash. Mars wanted the snacks. Mars didn't want the cereal. Kellanova shareholders approved the deal in November of 2024. Then the regulators got involved. 28 separate clearances were required around the world. The European Commission opened a Phase 2 antitrust investigation in June of 2025 that ran for months. The final regulatory approval came through on December 8, 2025. 3 days later, on December 11th, the merger closed. Kellanova was delisted from the New York Stock Exchange. Look at the math. The half of Kellogg's that left Battle Creek was worth $36 billion to a private candy empire. The half that stayed was still trying to figure out which plants to close. And then, in July of 2025, came the next chapter. The Ferrero Group, the Italian confectionery company behind Nutella and Ferrero Rocher, announced it was acquiring WK Kellogg Co. for $3.1 billion, pending regulatory approval. So now the scorecard reads, the snacks half went to Mars for $36 billion. The cereal half went to Ferrero for $3.1 billion. The company Will Keith Kellogg built in Battle Creek in 1906 has been absorbed in two pieces by two foreign candy companies. Neither one has any reason to keep a sentimental attachment to a small city in Michigan. Mars's headquarters sit in McLean, Virginia. Kellanova's offices are in Chicago. The name Kellogg's no longer appears on any major American food company's corporate headquarters. When the price tag came in, the market confirmed what Kellogg's already knew in 2022. The future wasn't in Battle Creek. The future left. The population of Battle Creek today is 51,955, down 1.4% in 6 years. Still declining. The poverty rate sits at 17.6%. The median household income is just over $55,000 a year. What remains of the Kellogg legacy in Battle Creek is not a factory. It is a foundation. The WK Kellogg Foundation, endowed with roughly $8 billion, remains headquartered in Battle Creek and is one of the city's largest employers and philanthropic forces. It funds child welfare programs, education initiatives, and economic development across the region. The cereal is leaving. The charity stayed. The Battle Creek Sanitarium, the building where the whole story began, was sold to the United States government in 1942. It became Percy Jones Army Hospital, treating thousands of World War II veterans. Later it became a federal office complex, and that is what it is today. The Serial City tourist attraction closed years ago. There is no place left in Battle Creek that fully celebrates what the city used to be, because what the city used to be was a one-product company town for a product that the country is leaving behind. Kellogg's did not kill Battle Creek. Battle Creek killed itself the moment it tied 100 years of identity to a single category and never looked for another one. Every other major American city that lost its dominant industry had to invent something new. Battle Creek had to watch its own company split in half and prove, in public, that the smartest people in the building had already booked a ticket to Chicago. And then, it had to watch even the losing half get sold to a company in Italy.